The road to wealth and glory lies through thorns. Only those who never quit can master it. This is a perfect saying regarding our hero today, who decided to abandon his job as a teacher and completely turn around his life. We will talk about Jack Ma, whose biography is filled with numerous mistakes and failures. Before becoming the richest man in China, Jack Ma also went through a thorny path. The history of the creation of Alibaba is a series of uncertainties, losses, and mistakes, which ended in a grand victory and international recognition of the Internet project and its creator. Despite the difficulties, he managed to subdue fate and achieve his goal. He stimulated the development of e-commerce in China, created a unique trading platform based on millions of Chinese companies, and headed the Alibaba Group Corporation, one of the most grandiose business projects in the history of mankind. Jack Ma was born in communist China to a family of musicians. Born into a poor family, not endowed with specific talents, a chronic loser, thanks to perseverance, colossal work, and an inquisitive mind, became the richest man in Asia. When he was a kid, he learned English through communication with foreigners. After finishing school, he worked as a teacher at a university, but after a business trip to the United States, he decided to create his own business. With his 17 friends, he raised $60,000 and created the Alibaba Group Corporation in 1999. In 2014, the sale of its shares on the New York Stock Exchange brought in $25 billion. In 2020, Jack Ma's fortune reached $61 billion, making him the richest man in Asia. What is childhood like in communist China? The Mao Zedong regime in China experienced its heyday when a second child, Ma Yun, was born into a poor family of musicians. Ma was born in Hangzhou, Zhejiang on September 10, 1964. The boy had an inquisitive mind and did not tolerate standard thinking. Perhaps that's why he only managed to pass the tests for admission to elementary school for the third time. The parents could not provide their son with a good education due to the difficult financial situation and the severity of the regime. However, in 1976, Mao died, and democratic sentiment began to creep into China. At the age of 12, Ma bought a pocket radio and began listening to English radio stations. At the same age, Yun found a convenient way to learn English, for which he had a particular sympathy. For 9 years, Ma rode 27 kilometers on his bicycle daily to work as a tour guide in Hangzhou for foreigners to practice his English. He became pen pals with one of those foreigners, who nicknamed him Jack. This name became his future name in the business environment. The boy was preoccupied with learning English. He listened to the radio in English, read the signs, spoke to tourists, and read newspapers. And at the age of 17, he knew English as well as Chinese. When Ma was 13 years old, he was forced to transfer to Hangzhou No. 8 Middle School as he kept getting caught in fights. In his early school days, Ma did not fare well scholastically, and it took 2 years for him to gain acceptance at an ordinary Chinese high school, as he only got 31 points in mathematics on the Chinese high school entrance exam. In 1982, at the age of 18, Ma failed the nationwide Chinese college entrance exam, obtaining only 1 point in mathematics. Afterward, he and his cousin applied for the waiter positions at a nearby restaurant. His cousin was hired, but Ma was rejected. As the hotel owner said, he was too skinny, too short, and, in general, protruded a bad physical appearance that may have potentially hurt the restaurant's image and reputation. In 1983, Ma failed his college entrance exam for the second time. However, his mathematics score improved, with Ma obtaining 19 points. In 1984, despite strong opposition from his family trying to persuade him to give up on pursuing higher education and choose a different career path, Ma remained steadfastly determined as he decided to take the college entrance examination for the third time. This time, he scored 89 points in the mathematics section. However, the sum or marks required to enter a prospective university were standardized as 5 points above Ma's score. The score he got allowed him to get only into less prestigious Hangzhou Normal University's English department, with Ma ending up being promoted to the undergraduate foreign language major. After entering Hangzhou Normal University, Ma's academic performance began to improve substantially as he steadily achieved scholarly excellence over the course of his undergraduate studies. While witnessing an enormous improvement in his scholastic performance throughout his undergraduate years, Ma was also elected as the chairman of the student union and later served as the chairman of the Hangzhou Federation of Students for 2 terms. Fate was showing the most ordinary way for Jack Ma, but the future founder of Alibaba Group was not inclined to give up. He understood that the struggle was just beginning. Sometimes the black stripe in your life is a takeoff lane. After graduating from university, Jack tried to get a job more than 30 times, but all attempts were in vain. So, for example, when the first KFC restaurant opened in his hometown, 23 candidates out of 24 applicants were hired, and Jack Ma was the only one who was denied employment. He could not get a job in the police. Out of 5 applicants for the job, only he was not chosen. As a result, the student returned to his university, but now as an English teacher with a salary of $15 per month. At that time, he was already married to his classmate Zhang, and this small salary was not enough to support a young family. This state of affairs did not suit the enterprising young man, who decided to try himself in other, more highly paid professions. Jack began to look for additional work, a guide, an interpreter, anything that could bring additional income. The young man did not come across anything serious. But then, in 1995, he was unexpectedly invited to accompany the Chinese delegation to the United States on behalf of the Hangzhou city government and first encountered the internet. It was the chance that turned Ma's life around once and for all. Internet, the engine of trade. The American side showed the guests an unprecedented thing for them, the internet. And when Jack Ma typed the word beer into the Yahoo search engine, he did not see a word about Chinese producers in the search results. Searches for Chinese were also unsuccessful. There were few Chinese websites, and he saw this as a great opportunity to make money. The idea of a business came up in the translator's head almost immediately. Upon his return, Jack Ma and a friend borrowed $2,000 and founded China Pages, a site that was supposed to become China's Yellow Pages, where companies could post information about themselves. This was one of the first websites like this in China. But the idea failed because, at the time, Chinese entrepreneurs knew little about the internet. Also, the internet itself in China worked exceptionally poorly. It was slow and worked intermittently. As a result, Ma had to work as a translator to repay the loan. The latter helped Jack Ma get to know Jerry Yang, the founder of Yahoo, who inspired him to continue his business. From 1998 to 1999, Jack worked at a government-backed internet company in Beijing. But he understood that if he stayed in this place, he would miss out on the great opportunities that the internet could give him. The entrepreneur was convinced that the World Wide Web had a huge potential for business development. The billionaire-to-be drew up a business plan for an electronic marketplace that would connect Chinese manufacturers and buyers from all over the world. This idea seemed relevant to him for 3 reasons. Chinese goods had a significant pricing advantage over American and European ones. They were often several times cheaper. Most of China's small and medium-sized firms could not afford to create their own website. For this, they would have to obtain special permission from the government. There has never been a project of this kind in the Celestial Empire. With a business plan ready, Jack went to Silicon Valley, wanting to interest investors in his venture project. However, despite his efforts, no one was willing to finance the dubious Chinese business. Having invested in Jack Ma's idea back then, they could have realized thousands of times their money. Ma returned to China with nothing, but he would not give up.
而今天，我想把大家请过来，跟大家共同探讨以后至少5年、10年我们要做的事情。那么阿里巴巴我们将做成怎么样？我想，从黄页的时候我就提过，黄页所要瞄准的对象不是国内战略，而是国际战略。
Gathering a group of 17 partners, he convinced them to invest in a company that they decided to call Alibaba. Jack Ma chose the name that was so unusual for Chinese business by analogy with the famous Arabian fairy tale. In this tale, the pilgrim Alibaba gets access to the innumerable treasures of robbers. The new company was also to be the key to wealth and prosperity. In addition, Alibaba is a sonorous combination of letters that people in any part of the world can remember. The Alibaba.com website and the company of the same name were registered in 1999. Almost immediately, Goldman Sachs and SoftBank expressed their desire to invest in the business with a total investment of $25 million. However, things didn't work out as well from the very beginning. The company suffered losses, development prospects seemed vague, and the office opened in the USA was abolished. The company's first office was located in Ma's small apartment in Hangzhou. The first employees literally worked, slept, and ate in this apartment 24/7. Also, initially, the company could not afford to pay skilled workers, so Alibaba preferred to hire young and inexperienced people from China's rural areas. It seemed that nothing could save the sinking ship of business, but at this moment, Jack Ma came up with a brilliant idea. In 2002, Alibaba started allowing registered firms to rise to the top of the list for a fee. The service was in high demand. At the end of the year, Alibaba.com made a profit for the first time. Therefore, the business created by Ma could pay for itself and did not just rely on credits and investments from side companies. But Jack Ma did not want to stop there. Ma wanted to improve the global e-commerce system, so from 2003 onward, Alibaba launched Taobao Marketplace, Alipay, and Alimama.com. In 2005, Yahoo invested in Alibaba through a variable interest entity structure, buying a 40% stake in the company for $1 billion. This could have later resulted in Yahoo's stake increasing to $80 billion today. However, Alibaba Group bought back half of its shares from Yahoo before the IPO. How competing with eBay helped create Alibaba Group?
eBay may be a shark in the ocean, but we are a crocodile in the Yangtze River. If we fight in the ocean, we lose. But if we fight in the river, we win.
When Alibaba just started to spread its wings, the market was almost completely controlled by the American corporation eBay, which entered the Chinese market in 2002. And Ma viewed the American company as a foreign competitor to his business empire. But Jack Ma had a serious trump card. He was well aware of the specifics of the Chinese market, its strengths and weaknesses. It was decided to act using a diversification strategy to provide users with an exhaustive set of services with different websites. Hence, Jack Ma opened the following online commerce websites. Taobao.com is an online merchandise retail marketplace open to all individuals and companies. Much like eBay, Taobao Marketplace facilitates consumer-to-consumer retail by providing a platform for small businesses and individual entrepreneurs to open online stores that mainly cater to consumers in Chinese-speaking regions and abroad. AliExpress.com is a global online store where only trusted companies can sell their goods at retail. This website pretty much copies the idea behind Amazon. Alipay is an electronic payment platform facilitating payments on Taobao, much like PayPal in the rest of the world. Later, divisions of Alibaba Pictures Film Company 1688.com, which is a platform for wholesale transactions, and Alibaba Cloud Computing for cloud storage appeared. Also, Alibaba Group launched Tmall.com to sell products from world-famous brands like Apple, Adidas, Gucci, and others. In 2012, Alibaba opened Lazada.com, which is a rapidly growing trading platform targeted at buyers from Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, and others. As a result, in 2012, all these services were merged into Alibaba Group, which by 2015 captured 82% of the electronic sales market in China, confidently displacing eBay. The growth of the business has been astonishing. Taobao and eBay battled it out, and both attempted to secure a long-term market share. However, by late 2007, the fight was over, and Taobao had claimed a staggering 84% of the market, while eBay, which started with 80%, had dwindled its share to 8%. This way, Taobao forced eBay out of the Chinese market, with eBay closing its unprofitable China web unit. The Alibaba Group continues to be a fast-growing, high-tech company that keeps up with Amazon's annual growth rates. Over the past 5 years, its revenue grew 48% per year. Its annual revenue in 2022 amounted to 832 billion yuan, which amounts to $134 billion. To grow and expand its business globally, Alibaba Group uses the following strategy. It looks for markets with relatively underdeveloped e-commerce and online payment systems. It then invests in market leader companies with the possibility of their further absorption. A striking example of this strategy is the purchase in 2015 of the Indian payment company Paytm. The deal cost Alibaba $680 million and allowed it to take 40% of the Indian internet payments market immediately. In 2016, Alibaba, through its subsidiary Ant Financial Services, invested in the commercial group Ascend Money, which specialized in digital payments in the online markets of Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Cambodia. How to become a billionaire in one day? By the end of 2006, Alibaba had attracted more than $100 million in external investment. But Jack Ma dreamed of a larger development of his offspring. But, as before, success did not come to the entrepreneur instantly. In 2007, the corporation's shares were listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange but did not find demand, and a year later, they were delisted. However, after the tremendous growth of Alibaba Group and the addition of Taobao and Alipay to the company's portfolio, the group's business became much more attractive to investors worldwide. In 2014, Alibaba's IPO on the New York Stock Exchange was hugely successful.
Shares of Alibaba stock skyrocketed Friday, propelling the company to an estimated value of $228 billion.
September 19, 2014, is a historic date for the international stock market. On this day, Alibaba listed its shares in New York on the New York Stock Exchange. Alibaba shares were valued at the upper end of the price range at $68 at the initial public offering. As a result, Jack Ma and his partners managed to raise $21.8 billion, and the company's capitalization amounted to $167 billion.
People have to realize this is the biggest IPO ever, so you want to take your time, you want to get it right, you want to make sure.
It was truly grandiose, as instead of the planned $1 billion, the corporation received $21.8 billion in investments. Jack Ma became the owner of a multi-billion-dollar business in a day. The project exceeded the creator's expectations and became one of the most successful in the history of world business. Obviously, it was years of hard work, trial, and errors that brought Jack Ma to this success, but that day was the culmination of all the work and suffering that he went through. Even though in 2008 Jack Ma was recognized as one of the best top managers in the world, in 2013, he left the post of CEO and remained chairman of the board of directors of Alibaba Group. Ma stepped down as Alibaba's executive chairman in October 2020 and said at the time he wanted to dedicate his time to philanthropy and rural education. He has kept a low profile since November 2020. In November 2022, Ma was reportedly living a low-profile life in Tokyo, Japan, for nearly 6 months and occasionally traveling abroad. In March 2023, Ma was spotted for the first time at the Yunga School in Hangzhou, China. In May 2023, Tokyo College, a research institute at the University of Tokyo, announced that Ma had been appointed a visiting professor and would work there until at least October 2023. His research focus would include sustainable agriculture, food production, and lectures on entrepreneurship. Despite his huge fortune, Ma remained a modest man. He is described as a wise and patient leader with a strong character. At the same time, he pays great attention to the ideas of his employees, thereby motivating them to do good work. Jack managed to establish an internet empire without any special technical abilities. This was even to his advantage because it allowed him to look at the product being created through the eyes of not a programmer but an ordinary client. Ma is actively involved in philanthropy. He founded his own foundation that supports education, the environment, and healthcare. In particular, 0.3% of Alibaba Group's revenue goes to environmental programs. To wrap up our story today, here is an interesting fact about Jack Ma. Harvard turned down Ma's job applications 10 times in a row. During the 2015 World Economic Forum, Ma shared that he had been rejected by Harvard University 10 times. For most people, one rejection would be enough to stop trying, but not for Jack Ma. He applied again and again for jobs at the university until he was rejected a total of 10 times. I applied to Harvard 10 times, got rejected 10 times, and I said to myself, someday I have to teach there, he said. In 2002, he gave a speech at Harvard as a founder of Alibaba Group. And this just shows, like in the case with many other heroes of our videos, that you can achieve a lot with the right attitude and hard work. You may have a lot of barriers, doubts, baggage of your career and family, and people around you who say you will fail. But here we have a story of a teacher in communist China, already married, who still continued to knock on the doors and tried to break the walls of the cell his life gave him, only to one day succeed. As for our video, this is it for today. Hope you enjoyed it or maybe found it inspiring. Please rate our video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe. We will be back with our inspiring stories about brands and the outstanding personalities behind them.